Welcome to JC Chats, where through interesting conversation with great guests, we share insight, experiences, and resources on important topics. Today's topic is collaboration and support with our special guest, Dustin Person, owner of AMG Quality Care. So Dustin, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Hey there, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're very glad you're here, and I'd love for you to take a moment to tell us about yourself and AMG Quality Care before I share how we got connected and how your services really impact joyfully centered living. So take it away and tell us anything you'd like.
All right. Yeah. Like you said, I'm Dustin Person. I'm the owner of AMG Quality Care. We do what's called assisted living placement. It's me and my wife. My wife's an RN. She kind of helps with me on the assessment side of things. And then I actually have a 2.5-year-old son. That's our only child, and he's comes to work with me twice a week. So in a way, he's a part of my business. I bring him to come visit clients and visit referral sources, and a lot of people I'm dealing with are kind of in a bit of a crisis situation. So it's maybe I'm a little biased, but he's a pretty cool kid, so people like to have him around. So, anyways, like I said, we do assisted living placement, and the way I explain to is I'm kind of like a realtor for assisted living. So I provide a service that's free to help people find assisted living options, whether it's large assisted living communities, memory care communities, residential assisted livings, or kind of anything in between. And also, I just try to be a resource for people for really anything in the senior healthcare industry. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Your services are so important. And I want to share with everybody that, kind of how we connected, how we met. So I was looking for assisted living for my grandmother, and I had shared that with a friend of mine that it was time to start really looking for a great place for her. And she said, "You have to call Dustin." And I said, "Really? Okay." And she said that she had had a great experience with you and using her services for her loved one. And she just was so adamant that I had to call you. And she knew how important it was for me because my grandmother was absolutely one of the most important people in my life. And so it was so important that I found a place for her that felt comfortable and I knew she was safe and all of that, right? So this was a big task in my book. And so I did reach out and was so happy with the services that you provided in helping us find a great place for her. And, I have to say, one of the most important things to me was that you were very genuine and interested in really understanding her and what her needs were to be able to find the right fit. Because there's so many different places out there, and I'm sure great places out there, but you were really you know, very interested to find out what was right for her. And you have this calming way about you. So
Thank you.
that's, very important because this is not always an easy time for people, right?
For
When they're
sure.
looking to do this. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
No problem.
Um,
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the people I deal with are in like a crisis situation where, their loved one had a stroke or had a fall and they're at the hospital and they find out they need assisted living and they need to move in a week or two. And it's, unfortunately, most people don't preemptively move into assisted living. There are obviously people that do that, but that's kind of the minority in my experience and in my opinion. So yeah, it's I don't know. I just that's awesome that you say it, and I appreciate all those kind words because yeah, it's that's what I try to do. I just kind of just a stranger, obviously, that people are kind of calling to rely on for this big important decision. And again, they're in this crisis situation and don't have a lot of time to like figure it all out. So you kind of have to just be the calming source for them. And again, back to my son, I think that kind of like just can be a distraction and makes people feel better having like sometimes I'll go on tours and bring and obviously I run it by people if I bring him like some people
sure.
poor obviously and depend on the exact but yeah, so I just I try to just be there for people and just tell them everything's going to be okay, and we'll figure this out together. And yeah, so I know it's a tough thing to go through for people for sure, so I'm honored to be able to help with it.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about collaboration and support. So that's what I feel is one of the things you and your organization does so well. So, all of us out there, I'm going to assume, we want great care for our loved ones, right? But we're oftentimes not sure where to start, or we might be, as you said, in a crisis situation where time is of the essence and we haven't maybe been looking at all of this and don't know where to start or where to go, or, if we do go to places and tour, what is normal, what's not normal, what are red flags, all these different things, right?
For sure.
And so, and also, we may not have the physical time to go tour multiple different places because of the other responsibilities in our lives as well. So I know it can be challenging, to do this on our own. And I think that, again, services like you provide and others in your industry, I think are so important in bringing in that support to have more peace and more confidence in the decisions that we're making for our loved ones. So can you, maybe share some tips with us for if folks are finding themselves in this place of looking for placement for a loved one, what should we know? Where's the best place to start? Obviously call you, right? No,
First and
but
foremost, yes, call Dustin. No matter where you are. I only work in Arizona, but I have resources everywhere. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so it kind of depends. So first off, if you're in a hospital setting, a rehab setting, a skilled nursing setting, or if your loved one's in that setting, hopefully there's a good social worker that will be helping you out, and ask them for resources. They should be able to provide resources for a placement person, someone that does what I do, maybe a home care person, so you can provide caregivers in your own home, some of that stuff. But also, so there's a state organization that I'm the president-elect for, or co-president-elect, sorry. It's called Passers. It's the Professional Association of Senior Referral Specialists. So that's a group, well, I would say probably half of our members are placement agents, and then half of the members are either communities, group homes, hospice companies, home care companies, those kinds of things. So, that's a good way to find people that do what I do. And then we're a member of a national organization. We're actually the founding branch of the national organization, which is NPRA, National Placement and Referral Alliance. That's a national organization for people that do what I do. And so you can go to the npra.org, and they have, a list of, you can type in your zip code and find placement agents in your area. And again, even if you don't need assisted living, anything in the senior healthcare industry, it's, most, I can't speak for everyone, but most people who do what I do should have a lot of resources. So if you need kind of anything, whether it's placement for assisted living, home care options, hospice options, all kinds of things, go to that website and you can find someone, hopefully locally, or like I said, reach out to just me and I can hopefully point you in some directions. But yeah, there's definitely resources available. You got to know where to look. And like you said, it's very hard to go through some of this on your own. And like I said, my services are free. The way that I get paid is if I'm working with the family and I'm the first person to refer you to a place. And if you end up moving your loved one into that place and private pay to be there, they pay me a referral fee for bringing them a client. I always tell people it doesn't change any of your fees. It doesn't change any of your deposits. So it really is a free service. So even if you don't, you find a placement agent, you don't like them for some reason, find another one, because it's a free service. Most people who do this are, I think do a pretty good job, especially if you're a member of one of these national organizations, because there's some, requirements that you have to be like a real company. You have to have liability insurance, fingerprint card, so on and so forth. So that's kind of a good starting point. And, what people like what I do is we go out and we kind of pre-screen all of these assisted livings. So we go to them, initially just to find places. We look at their state reviews. We, talk to people there, get an idea of what their turnover is, because that's a huge thing in this industry, is the turnover of staff. And then, we're staying up to date on all this as we've been in the industry for, a few years. I've been doing this in Arizona now for almost 6 years, or just, I think November 1st will actually be 6 years. You learn more about these communities, you keep finding good ones. Unfortunately, places can be good and then turnover happens and, things change. So we try to do our best to stay on top of it. But yeah, like you said, it's definitely a kind of a tricky thing to figure out on your own, not only just knowledge wise, but just time wise. Like you said, most of my, the people I place are usually in their 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm dealing with their adult children who, most of the time have full-time jobs or maybe even kids. And, they don't really have the time just to kind of just go do everything on their own. So, what someone like I do, I kind of assess the situation, go over kind of level of care, location they're looking in, personality of the client. And then unfortunately, a big part of the assisted living decision is finances, because there's only two options for paying for assisted living. It's privately out of your own funds, or to qualify for a version of Medicaid, which Arizona's version of Medicaid is called Altex. So, you kind of take all that information, and then from there, you can kind of start finding some options for people. Whereas, trying to do this on your own, it's tough to know like what places cost, if it's even the right budget, if they can handle the level of care, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, that's great information. Thank you for sharing that and for sharing those resources too. Those other organizations, the national organizations, we'll put those in the comments as well, so people have those links that you mentioned, because those are great places to for people to know. Because again, we don't know what we don't know, right?
For
So
sure,
that's
exactly.
why it's so important to be able to connect and collaborate with a professional that really is trusted in this field. So definitely thank you for that. And I think, all about, so our programs here are all about being and living joyfully centered and being able to have life kind of flow in a way that just makes it a little bit easier and a lot more enjoyable based on our perspective, and being able to support ourselves with great resources like yours through times that are not, always easy, as we've mentioned, right?
For
So,
sure.
but it's being able to connect with others so that we can make it be the best it can be. So, is there anything that you would say in your experience that really, once somebody is working with a professional like yourself, is there anything that makes this process flow a little bit more easily, or anything that you say would be helpful for people to know as they're coming into this?
Don't wait till the last minute. That's the biggest
Yeah,
thing. I know easier said than done, because obviously this is what I do for a living. So, but I'm realistic also, and unfortunately, and sometimes I don't really understand this, but I will say it's not everyone's dream to move into an assisted living. Most people want to try to age in place and live at home. I get that to a point, but I also, me and my wife talk about this all the time. There's so many of these assisted living communities that you can move into, and you don't even need physical assistance. Some people just move in there because, you don't want to take care of a house and a yard and that stuff all the time. There's like these places they provide 3 meals a day, activities, socialization. So, and again, maybe some people think it's a waste of time, but like it never hurts to like preemptively kind of prepare for some of this stuff. Because also, if you move in before a crisis situation happens, you have more choice into where you're going. Because, unfortunately, if people who wait until like after a stroke or after an incident, they're kind of forced to move into a certain type of setting because their level of care is now higher. And not that that can always be avoided, because even if you preemptively move into an assisted living, like a stroke can obviously happen at any time. Even living in an assisted living, a fall can happen at any time. Um, but just try to be preemptive, like just proactive about this stuff. And then also just, for people, like have a power of attorney in place. If you're an adult and you have parents who are seniors, and I know some of this is tough conversations to have, but like talk to them about what they want, talk to them about their finances, because like I said, unfortunately that is a big part of this. Maybe know some of this stuff, because that's the other thing is like I'll get a call, someone has to move into an assisted living in a week. They aren't the parents power of attorney yet, they have no idea about their loved one's finances. They so not only are they pressured to find assisted living in a week, they're also trying to figure out how to be responsible for everything, how to, get access to their bank accounts, find out if they need to like sell a house or something. So just anything that you can do to like just, and I know it's tough because like not everyone wants their kids in their business. Like, is if you're like in your 80s or whatever, and you know, and maybe you just don't even want to like put that on them. Maybe you think it's like a burden to them. But trust me, it's going to help them later if and when something happens. That just they're ready and kind of know some of that information. And like I said, also know then what you want, so they can make sure that, because that's the other thing is, people who have a stroke or something like that, like they don't really get a say in the assisted living they're going to. When you're out of rehab, you don't even get the opportunity to go look at places. Your family has to go do it, and you're not allowed to go. So just talk about some of this stuff with your family. And again, not the funnest conversations, I understand that, but it will make everyone's life easier if and when, this kind of situation does come up.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's something that in my family, I've really started, those conversations quite a while ago, actually. And because
Good.
I've always looked at it as it's not fun. Nobody's saying, "Yay, let's talk about what happens when we need a lot more help and we can't
For
make
sure.
decisions, or we've had a stroke or whatever." It isn't fun to think about by any means, yet to
Sure.
your point, if we do proactively have these conversations while we're able to, while we're able to find out, with our loved ones, what do you want to happen, down the road? What does this look like for you? What are your wishes and desires with it? Then we're able to have that understanding and be a lot more likely to be able to make that happen. I know for me, having conversations like that, it instilled more confidence in myself to be able to know, okay, I'm doing what they wanted done, because we had those conversations when they were able to have them
For sure.
long ago. So I think that's really great advice, is just to kind of face that and understand that, we that we don't control what's going to happen later in life, right? So
That's
just
for
avoiding
sure.
conversation is not going to serve us, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly.
okay. Well, one of my next questions, I was going to ask you what some of the biggest challenges or misconceptions are. You've listed, some of those with communication, or maybe not, being proactive. Is there anything else that you'd want to share that you think is helpful for people to know on that?
Yeah, well, and I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but one of the big ones is people don't know assisted living is not or not. Some people don't know assisted living is not covered by Medicare or any other kind of private insurance. Like I said, you now if you have long-term care insurance, that's different. That's something you've been paying on for a long time. But yeah, so assisted living, even home care, if you're trying to bring caregivers into your own home, these are out-of-pocket expenses. So, for some people, unfortunately, it's too late once they realize that to start planning for that. Obviously, if you're in your 80s and on a fixed income, you can't all of a sudden come up with a plan to start saving money for that. So this is something to start thinking about in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. Like, hey, if and when I need assisted living, this is going to be an out-of-pocket expense. I need to kind of start preparing for that. Um, that's a big one. Um, and I mean,
Yeah.
it just goes back to what I said before. Just talking with your loved ones about kind of what you want and what's right for you and what matters to you, because you know there are a wide array of options when it comes to assisted living. There's very large places that are geared towards socialization. There's very small places that are geared towards care. It's not like just a one size fits all. There's definitely different options, so it's important to make sure you're finding the right one. um, and again, that's where people like me come into place, where it's we can kind of help because we are familiar with all the options that are available. So it's just reach out and ask for help. That's the thing too. There's a lot of resources available.
Right. Yeah, that collaboration and support.
Right,
So,
exactly, there you go,
very,
exactly.
very good. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time. So I just want to ask you, what are some of the biggest rewards in what you do? What do you
Uh, I mean, ultimately, just helping families. Like I was literally before me and you started recording, I was telling you about I'm trying to work on my online presence and stuff. So I was meeting with a friend last night, and I'm terrible at doing this, but he's encouraging me, and I know I need to is start asking for reviews from clients. And then so like he was helping me come up with some posts to then post those reviews. So just like you know the last like 2 weeks I've been emailing quite a few past clients and getting reviews from them and just reading those reviews. It's like sometimes in the moment it's just like I hate to say it, but like it's kind of just my everyday life is just doing what I do, and you don't really think about like it's kind of the norm for me to help out someone in a crisis situation. You don't really think about like how much of a difference you might have made for someone. So then, like, I've gotten quite a few reviews lately. Going through those, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. That just, for my job, I get to help someone, and then, they have those nice things to say about you. So that's really nice. Just and this kind of depends on the situation and kind of what the situation of the client was as far as what their care level was and where they ended up. But you get to visit some of these people after you move them into an assisted living, and you get to hear like, hey, like prior to talking to you, I was my husband passed away 4 years ago, and I really hadn't left my house much. I wasn't eating much. Now I'm in this place, and I've made a bunch of friends. I'm playing cards every day. I'm going down to the dining room every day. Like literally, like you're I guess the only way, like you're changing people's lives for the better a lot of the time. And it's really cool to like get to see that, like I said, hear that from family. So it just, you know, I guess selfishly, it just makes you feel good that you're helping people. But I guess
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just really cool
Yeah, it's great to see when you can affect such positive change, right?
for
And
sure.
really contribute to their quality of life and to people's joy and happiness. I mean, the
Right.
joyfully centered part of us, right? So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
that's so cool. And you do it very well. So thank you for
Thank
everything
you.
that you do for everybody, out there in the community. And I love too that you're getting your son involved. What a great, not only is he bringing so much joy, I'm sure, to so many, but what a great example to him as he continues to grow up as well. And so I think that's so cool. So,
Yeah, I'm lucky to be able to. I mean, selfishly, it allows me to spend more time with him. A lot of people who have jobs or whatever don't, they're gone 9 to 5 or whatever. They don't get to see their son as much, but I get to bring him with me in some cases. So yeah, and hopefully one day he'll take over my business if he likes what he sees and is a part of this. But yeah, I feel very blessed to be able to do that, and it's like I said, it just gives me time with him that a lot of people don't have. So I'm very cognizant of that and just happy that I get to do that.
yeah, that's very cool. So, okay, so how do people reach you? We'll put it, please tell them, now, and then we'll also put that in the comments. But how would people reach you if they want to inquire about your services?
Yeah, so you can always reach out on my cell phone via, call or text. That number is 480-298-0007. Email dperson@amgqualitycare.com. I have a website, www.amgqualitycare.com. I'm on Facebook. And then, like I said, you can always go to Passers, PASRS, or npra.org to find myself or other people in your area that do what I do. So yeah, like I said, feel free to reach out even if you're not in the Phoenix area, and hopefully I can connect you or maybe even just answer questions for people. I'm always happy to help in any way I can. I know it's most people they only deal with this kind of thing once or twice in their lives, so it's like it's a tough thing. So anytime I can help, I'm always happy to help.
Fantastic. Well, Dustin, thank you again for being our guest today and sharing such valuable insight and your experiences and the resource that you provide, as well as your care in the community. So, thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening as well. Please do reach out to Dustin if you have any questions or need for his service as well. And, pass this on because, again, as we've said throughout this, you don't know what you don't know. So having these incredible resources are so valuable. So please keep them in mind and share them as we all continue to strive to live joyfully centered. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.